Good evening and welcome to Speakers Corner UK. It's Rob here, and I am joined this evening or late this afternoon by the perfect hour, aka Muji. Good evening, Muji. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good evening. That's my YouTube channel name, actually. Yes, exactly. My name is Muji, but the channel name is The Perfect Dabo.
Yeah, brilliant. So Muji came on last week onto the Gin and Tonic Show, which is the show that I co-host with Stop Spamming and some other colleagues, where we critique Islam. And so we had a bit of a conversation there. We'd heard of Muji via him speaking to Pine Creek. And he wanted to speak about a particular topic that we didn't think was right for the Gin and Tonic. So we thought, let's have a conversation on this channel about it. And the topic that we're going to chat about tonight is Islam the unique God-given solution to the world's biggest problems? And so I think, obviously, Muji's going to speak in the affirmative about that. I'm going to be skeptical of that claim. But I think for me, Muji, if I just start out just to give you a view of where I am, it could be the case that you could present to me either some unique reasons or better reasons than any other human that ever came up with reasons to the biggest problems. We'd have to establish what the big problems are, but they wouldn't tell me that a God existed. So I might accept that you, or let's say Islam, or somebody that may have founded Islam came up with some unique or better solutions than anybody else, but that wouldn't make it the case that God is true or that Islam, the ideology, is true. It would simply be, for me, the case that somebody has come up with a unique or a good solution. And if I thought that were the case, then I would take that on board, but it wouldn't necessitate me believing in a God. So when we were on the Gin and Tonic Show, I sort of put the challenge to you is that name for me something that uniquely Islam solves, that only God would have provided, that no other religion could do, or that I don't have access to. And I think, hopefully that's what we're going to talk about here. There are some basics we can start with, but I'll pass it over to you for sort of an opening statement, and then hopefully we can talk about some foundations before we get into the bigger discussion, because I think there are a few things that we need to sort of agree on before we start going deeper.
Yes. All right. I'm a former atheist. At the age of 25, I started to think about existence of God. Actually, I'm born in a Muslim family, but at the age of 25, I started to think myself. I'm a political refugee living in Sweden, and at that time I had time to think, and I came to this conclusion after a few days that God doesn't exist. And now I can say that was because of lack of knowledge, because I didn't have any experience and knowledge. Later, when I got better knowledge of different things in life, I started to realize that I was wrong. And I came slowly to this conclusion that, Islam has the solution to every single problems we are facing on this planet. That's why I converted to Islam. And in Abrahamic religion, the source of all problems is the Satan, the devil. And in Quran, it's described it much better, that who is Satan. Unfortunately, a majority of people, maybe almost all entirely, but few people have realized that Satan is not an angel, falling angel. Okay, so Satan is not the creation of God in reality. God just tried to warn us from a force, okay, a source and a force that guide us to bad deeds. So Quran describes it very beautifully. It says that Satan spread poverty among you and lead you to immorality. So through this one, we've realized, people who think, okay, in 21st century, it was difficult for people of the past to understand it, but people of 21st century who have some education, sorry, I have to fix my throat. Anyway, people who have some education in 21st century and can use their logic, their brain to analyze it, okay? Because I've started to think about that, why God should create such enormous power that I don't see it, I don't feel it, They say that it whispers in your head, and make you to do bad deeds. Have you heard it, Rob? Yeah.
I've heard people make claims that yes, they've
yes,
heard God speaking or whatever the
yeah.
case is. Yeah.
Not God. No. They say that Satan, whisper in your head and make you to do bad deeds. So I was thinking.
I guess Mike. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Yes, I was thinking why God should do that. To to create such a enormous power that he's everywhere on this planet, on 8 billion different places, and he managed somehow make me to do bad deeds, and then God wants to punish me for that. It's like I say always, it's like that. For example, you're in UK, yeah?
Rob? Yes, yeah, I am.
Yes. Imagine that the UK government spread a virus among its population and say anybody catch this virus will be punished. That's not fair, but God is fair. Okay, so I was thinking about all these things, and I came to this conclusion that we created the Satan, and Satan is not a falling angel. Satan is a system. Okay, when Quran says that Satan spread poverty among you and lead you to immorality, so I realized that Satan's power is poverty. Satan's weapon is poverty. Without poverty, he cannot guide us to immorality. And and I've realized that, who is spreading poverty among us? When you read and see that 1% of the total population of the planet, they own 50% of the total capital of the planet, which is $110 trillion. And hundreds of millions of people are living on $1 a day. So who in real life, in real world, spreading poverty among people? It is very easy to understand. Okay. It is very easy to understand that 1% are spreading poverty among hundreds of millions of people.
Okay, so let's just stop there.
Yes.
Sorry, because otherwise there's too many things to do here. We'll talk briefly about that, but I want to come back to the Satan part of it. But if I understand your claim correctly at this moment in time, this 1% who are billionaires or whatever the case is, they are creating poverty. Is that your view?
In reality, they are also, victim of the system that allow them to gain $110 trillion, okay? And they want to make more and more. That's why they spread poverty.
Is there something wrong with that, though? Muji, is there something wrong with wanting to make more money?
Sorry, my throat. Everything.
Take a drink there.
I know even that one doesn't help. In reality, it is wrong with the system, okay, that allow people, okay, to become richer and richer by, for example, by selling drugs, by selling weapons, by or everything, human trafficking. Human trafficking is $150 billion.
Muji, you're throwing in.
Yeah.
Muji, you're throwing in a lot of different things there. So let's do a couple of things. I think we can both agree that child trafficking and certain other things we both agree are illegal. So the system doesn't allow that. In fact, the system is trying to prevent that. Unless you want to claim that the system is in fact allowing that. And then you'd have to provide the evidence that in fact the system is turning a blind eye or is indeed encouraging that. So I think we've got to be a bit careful with things that we both agree on. But I want to understand from you, if we go to the main idea here, how does Islam solve this?
Let me tell you that I didn't say the system allow them. That system encourage them, okay? Give them the opportunity. I mean, they have this opportunity by producing and selling drugs to become richer. So they have this opportunity. Let me tell you right away, the system is called capitalism, okay? So, and this capitalism allow people to, give them the opportunity to become richer and richer by all means.
Which people, Muji?
Anybody. You can.
It doesn't encourage or allow that any more than Islam or any other country allows people to do the bad things, the drug dealers or the child trafficking. I'm not aware of any system that allows that to be the case. So how does capitalism allow those things to happen?
All right. I didn't say allow. I said it encouraged them.
How does it encourage people to behave immorally by trafficking children and having drugs when there's laws against those things?
Yeah. First of all, the law is not against everything. Okay, the law is against, for example, drug, okay, human trafficking, probably, but in many cases, like I think Netherlands or some places, it is legal. But I mean, prostitution.
Some
is
drugs are legal. That's true. Ones that
And
presumably they have decided don't have as harmful, if indeed are harmful themselves. So yes, there are countries that are more liberal, and other countries are moving towards that as well. So, unbanning marijuana, for example,
okay,
or at least certain amount of it, right?
but when, for example, prostitution is permitted, then will come human trafficking also. Anyway,
one doesn't lead to the other, though, Muji.
Okay,
it's not the case that because that happens,
okay,
it means that human trafficking is the case. One doesn't follow from the other.
All right, now let me see. Okay, let me see. Rob, you are educated. Okay, if we get rid of the capitalist system, okay, and we say on the planet that everybody share everything with each other, everything is absolutely free for everybody. Okay, then do you think anybody will produce drug? Like, for example, farmers of Afghanistan, okay, they produce 90% of the total opium of the world. Have you heard that? Yeah.
I've heard that some of it's there. I don't know what the percentage is.
No, it's I've read that is 90% of the total opium in the world is produced in Afghanistan, okay, and smuggled to Europe and everywhere else. Why? Because they can sell 1 kilogram of opium hundreds of dollars, while they cannot sell their potatoes and tomatoes more than 5-10 cents. If they are able to sell it. So what encouraged them to produce opium instead of potatoes and tomatoes is the money, okay? That money drive them to produce 90% of the total opium of the planet. But for example, in Sweden, where I'm living, farmers, they don't produce any drugs. Why? Because the government take care of them. They don't need it because they are well off, okay? They don't need. So for example, why Satan is stronger in Afghanistan despite they are believer, they are Muslims, or even in Latin America, why they go deep in the forest of Amazonas and they produce cocaine, while farmers of Sweden that mostly they are atheists, they don't produce any drugs because of the that money which drive them, because they are poor in those countries. Here, people are well off. So the Satan in reality is the system. I can give you another example. It's my home country.
Before you do, Muji,
yes.
Yeah, we've sort of gone into and because it wasn't clear when you, obviously, because we just emailed and so forth, and I wasn't clear on what you meant by Satan. So for you, Satan is not in fact a being that opposes God or whispers bad things in our ears. It's in fact a particular system. Did God, by your lights, allow this system to occur, or is this all man-made, a bad idea that men have come up with?
It is in our nature, okay? It is in our nature that I want more, okay? That's our nature. God didn't create
and God created us with that nature, correct?
Yeah,
God created us with that nature, yes?
God created us with, with free will, okay? So
did he know that we were going to have capitalism and have this, by your lights, this bad system?
Yes, he knew. Because
why did he allow?
Yeah, because he wanted to create, he had angels who are, they don't have free will, all right? And he wanted to create, this is a miracle in reality, okay? That he created a creature that has two options: to live like an animal and die like an animal, or to live like a human being and die like a human being by his guidance, okay? So this creature, which is selfish and just me, I don't care about anybody else, when he turned to become such a beautiful creature that he sacrificed himself for others, like we have seen it throughout history, okay? That sacrifice himself, God created us for that, okay? For those people to show that God has this power to create these creature that is much better than angels. Because when God created us, angels said that, oh, this human is going to corrupt the land. He said, I see things that you cannot see. Okay, so God knew that we are going to, by his guidance, we are going to be beautiful people. We are going to be guided. And one day.
But hang on, Muji. I
Yes.
appreciate you saying a lot. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to interrupt every now and
Yeah,
again.
no
Otherwise,
problem. Yes.
there's
Yeah.
too much that's being said, right?
Yeah.
But so let me just check. So God created us with this desire to have more, and he
Okay.
knew that this desire would bring about capitalism, which by your lights is Satan.
Okay.
Why did he do all of this? And by your lights, the reason is so that certain people can overcome this, and we can use them as like an example of how wonderful human beings can be, even though most of us were created with this desire to want more.
Okay.
Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
No, Rob, this is maybe difficult for you to understand that why he created us. Okay, for me, it's like you have a power, okay, to draw a beautiful picture, but you don't use it. Okay, but he had this power and he used it. So he wanted to create a beautiful picture, which I told you is those human beings who who sacrifice himself. And then he wanted to guide us from this jungle that we are living in. In this jungle, the strongest one get the most, the weakest one get the least or nothing and die. So he tried to guide us to a beautiful world where we share everything with each other.
Okay.
And he
I
wanted
understand.
to create that world. Yes.
Let me jump in. So if he wanted to create this world, why didn't he create that world? Why didn't he create us with the inbuilt desire to share and to have equity among all humans, and for people not to desire more? Because then surely we wouldn't have that problem. If he created it with a desire, we can still have free will, but our overriding desire is not to, quote unquote, by your lights get more and more, but our overriding desire is to share with our fellow humans. Why didn't he create us that way?
Okay, so you mean that why he didn't create us programmed?
No, I'm asking for the desire. You said he created us with a desire for more and more. I'm asking, why did he not just create us with a desire to share with our fellow human beings, and not the desire for more and more? Yeah. Because we can still have free will either way.
Okay, that would be to how like an angel, like the angels who don't have any desire, they don't have any free will. That would be
hang on.
He already had. Yes.
Let me just check in. Are you saying that if he created us with the desire to want to share with our fellow human beings, that would deny us free will?
Sorry, once again.
Are you saying that if he were to create us with the desire to want to share with our fellow human beings instead of the desire to want more, which is what you claim he has created us, are you saying that if he created us with the desire to share, as in like the world that you would want to see, would that take away our free will?
I mean, that the desire, what is it, to share with others is not natural. That desire is, what is it, is coming with our knowledge, okay?
Yes, but I'm asking you, could he create us with that desire? Yeah, okay, but why did he not make it natural? Are you suggesting that if he made it natural, we wouldn't have free will? Rob, what is the reason by your lights that he didn't make that the natural state of affairs?
Rob, let me tell you, there are children are bombed now everywhere on this planet, okay? Is your problem, is that the problem that you try to save them and find a solution, or you want to reject this solution, by all these questions that why he did it? Okay, he didn't do it. Maybe he was totally out of his mind. Okay, just let's that he was totally out of his. I don't care why he didn't do this, why he didn't do that. He just wants us to live like human beings. Okay,
what does it mean? Okay, but Muji, what does it mean to live like a human being?
Do you reject
what does it mean to live like a human being?
Okay, human being for me is not a form. Human being is a way of life. Animal is not a form either. Animal is a way of life. We are born like animals, okay? And we live like animals and we die like animals. But he tried to guide us to live like human being and die like human being.
Okay, and what would that look like, Muji? What would that look like to live like a human being?
That look like that you try to create that world, sacrifice for your own kind, okay? And for example, there are many people who fight for their own kinds. For example, I can give you many examples. Like there are, like I said last time, it's Ernesto Che Guevara. Okay, he was an atheist, but he left his. He could have a beautiful life, but he left that life. He wanted to create a beautiful life for everybody. Okay, that's a human being. That
okay, I understand that. Muji, did God want every human to have a beautiful life?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, why did he not create us with a desire? But Muji, and this is important because you're claiming that we had the desire to want more and more, and that desire led to capitalism, which is Satan. And God had the power to create us such that we had the desire to share and to have this beautiful life. And instead, he created us to have this life by your lights, where we want more and more, and therefore that led to Satan. And God had the power to not do this. Why did he do this?
Because he wanted to. By his guidance, we do, you know. He didn't want to.
Okay, so if he has guidance for us, why does he not create us that way?
All right. Okay, I told you, Rob.
Desire.
Yes, Rob, I told you. Maybe I cannot answer this question why he didn't do that. You have to ask him directly, okay? And you have to figure it out. I want that we solve our problems, okay? I don't want to live in a world where children are going hungry. Do you want or not, Rob?
No, I don't want that either. But hang on a moment.
Let me see. Okay, then why you reject this? Why you reject?
No, hang on, Muji. Yes. The reason for this discussion is because you say Islam can solve these problems, and yet
exactly.
Allah Himself could have solved this before any humans were ever born. That no child would ever go hungry. All He needed to do was not make us robots or take away our free will, but give us the desire to have equity and to care about our fellow human being over all other things. We could still choose to do other things, but if that desire was the overriding desire, instead of by what you claim, which is that we want more and more for ourselves, then God would have solved this problem before we were even born.
Yes, but he didn't want to, he wanted to create, as I said, it wouldn't be a miracle, okay? It would be like, as I said, it would be like, how do you say? Everybody would be perfect, okay? I mean,
no, Muji,
like
hang
angels,
on.
like angels.
No, they're not, though. Hang on a second. When you say they're perfect, no, all the difference is, instead of creating this desire for wanting more and more, I'm using your language. I don't necessarily believe that all humans want that. Some do, that's true. But instead of creating that one desire as the overriding desire, make the overriding desire one to share and to care about your fellow human beings. Then these problems wouldn't have come up in the very beginning. But you are saying, hang on, He made us with this desire to want more and more so that He could then create a miracle. But wouldn't the miracle have been in the very beginning? If Islam had in fact, if Allah is real and He had in fact done this in the beginning, that would lead me towards believing A, that He's true, and B, that He's a moral God.
Okay.
But at the moment, I see exactly the opposite. And you are trying to apologize, or you're trying to give us reasons why you think that, hey, giving us the desire for more and more, which leads to, capitalism, which is Satan, is somehow a good thing, and that Islam is the answer. But I'm telling you what the answer is. I'm actually telling you what the answer is for Islam, for God to give us the desire such that we want to share with all our fellow human beings.
Okay, so He hasn't done it, all right? So what we have to do now, Rob? We have to live in this. He hasn't done it, okay? So He had a reason.
Yes.
He wanted to test us as well. So He hasn't done it. Now we are living in this world. We are living in this jungle. You want to continue to live in this jungle, or you want to live in a human world? I asked you this question. I don't need you to, God doesn't need you even to believe in Him. All He needs is that you help your own kind to get rid of this jungle and the jungle rules that the strongest one get the most and the weakest one get the least. All right. So you want to continue to live in this jungle, or you want to get out of this jungle? I ask you this question. I don't need you to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what a jungle is. What do you mean by a jungle? You seem to suggest that the world is in this terrible place. Let me ask you. Let me just check in with Muji. Do you think
the jungle? Isn't it jungle we are living in, Rob? Don't you see the jungle?
I don't know what a jungle is. I know what a jungle is. That's somewhere like being in the Amazon. What do you mean by jungle?
No, jungle is where the strongest one get the most, and the weakest one get the least or nothing.
Well, that's clearly not the
Okay?
case in our society, is it? It's not the one who's the
It is.
strongest gets the most. Where did you get that
Yes.
idea?
It is this. It is in our societies now. The strongest one, before, the strongest one was the one which was strong in muscles. Today, the strongest is the one who is smarter. Okay, and the jungle has changed, but the rules is the same. Okay,
Okay, so what you're saying, Muji, is that the people who are smartest don't deserve to get ahead in life, especially if they do hard work. Is that the claim you're making?
I'm saying that if they want to, they want to live in this jungle, then they cannot call themselves human being. Okay,
Why not?
so because a human being is the one. I think Jean-Paul Sartre. Do you know? Have you heard him? His name as well.
Yes, I've heard of the name. Yeah.
Yes.
What about it?
Yeah, he was a philosopher as well, a French philosopher, and he says also that human is a way of life, and human is the one who sacrificed his life for his own kind. Okay, so for me, human is not a form. For me, human is a way of life. Is when you sacrifice yourself for your own kind, and we have millions of them who have sacrificed themselves. They didn't care about themselves; they care about their own kind first. So if that smart person want to become billionaires while what is it? He sees that hundreds of millions of people live on $1 a day, then he cannot call himself human being. And God has promised them the hellfire for this behavior. Who doesn't follow God? God's demand is that you live like a human being, you sacrifice for your own kind, and you create that beautiful world. Okay, so this is the difference. You want to in this life, you can kill people for becoming rich, and because this also, as I said, it guide people to become richer and richer by selling.
Muji, let me just ask you something. Is it by your lights a problem that people are, quote, not human because they are rich and they've offered a solution or a service or a product that people want and they've paid for it? Is that a bad thing?
It is a bad, I say it's a human being is the one who sacrificed for his own kind. When you see that millions of people have nothing to eat and you are billionaire, okay, and you want to live in a luxury life, then you cannot call yourself, because for me, human is not a form, I said, okay? Yeah,
how many people, okay, Muji, how many people are billionaires on this planet?
There's
1,000 of them. 2,000 of them, whatever it is, right?
Maybe.
So
maybe
there's a vanishingly small amount. Let's just say, for argument's sake, they're all terrible people, even though they're not, because people like Bill Gates have got a foundation. He gives away more money than most countries do, right, to try and stop AIDS and do various other things, right? So you have these huge philanthropic places that many people have donated billions. People like Warren Buffett wants to give away most of his fortune before he dies to philanthropic ideas to try and help people around the world. So it simply isn't true that the richest people on the planet are the ones that are taking away. They're in fact making jobs. But I didn't really come on, Muji, for this discussion about the politics or the social issues of capitalism per se. I should have been clearer with you about what the Satan is. But you said that Islam has the solution. So can you tell me what the solution is? Because I've given you the solution to Islam that I think would have been the best and would have convinced me, A, that Islam is true, and B, that it actually had the best solution. And you've said to me, you don't understand why that didn't happen in the beginning, but we're now left in this bad position that we're in, and now we've got to do something about it. So what is the solution to this? Because I've given what I think is the best solution from an Islamic point of view, and I don't even believe Islam is true. So can you give me a better solution?
Okay, because your solution is not going to happen because we are already created in this way, okay? But the solution is given in Islam that the Satan is this system, and you have to get rid of this system and live equal, share everything with each other equally. Money doesn't exist anymore. And we just share everything with each other. Everything is free. Everything. You work for free and you get everything free. That's a society that Islam wants to create. Okay. And in that society, nobody will rob. Nobody will still nobody will produce drugs, nobody will kill each
How's
other.
that? Okay, Muji, how's that the case? How is Islam going to do that? And how is it that if people have got free will, that they're suddenly all going to be these perfect people?
Yes, that's. I said that it is. They have to believe in it. Okay, so that's why God has tried to teach people that this is the the way He wants us to live. Okay, that's why we stand towards Mecca. All right, every day and say, "Show me the right way." And the right way He has shown us in 1400 years. Okay, but unfortunately, people haven't understood it because their knowledge was.
Is that okay? Whose fault is that, though, Muji? Is that human beings' fault or God's fault because He can't do a better job?
No, it is. Look, Rob, you just want to condemn God for creating us. I say I want to get rid of this jungle.
And God can do that for us, Muji. All you have to do is pray. Muji, here's the solution. Let me tell you a solution from if I was a Muslim, I'd pray to God to suddenly everybody wakes up tomorrow with the overwhelming desire to help their fellow human being in the way that you talk about, because that's what you want. If I was on your side of the fence, I'd pray to God and everybody tomorrow woke up with the idea that they want to share everything and everything's free. And tomorrow we live in a utopia.
No,
why can't God make that happen? Because that would in fact be the solution that you're talking about. That would be the unique solution that Islam could provide that no other religion could do. If you prayed and tomorrow everybody woke up and suddenly we went, hey, we just had a message from Allah and all we need to do now is I just want to share everything with everybody. I don't want to have anything of my own. This computer, I want to give it away. I don't want it. I'm going to give it to the starving. Well, it won't help them in Africa starving, but I'll give it to somebody else. If that happened tomorrow and it was because Allah was true, I'd go, okay, hang on a moment. Here's something amazing. That Islam must be the answer then to this.
All right.
Why don't you do the same? Why don't we both pray that Allah's going to do this by your lights, and tomorrow everybody comes with a desire to want to help? That would be the solution. If that's not the solution, can you tell me what the solution is from Islam's point of view that's better than what I've suggested?
I told you that that's not going to happen because He has to redesign us, okay? And He decided to design us like this, okay? And that's
can He redesign us overnight? Can He redesign us overnight?
Definitely, He can do it over seconds.
Why doesn't He?
He doesn't want. That's because I understand it. I told you that He wanted to create us in this way, and by His guidance, He wanted to test us as well. Okay, this is. I mean, this is something that shows that you want to reject that beautiful world that He wants to guide us to, okay? And
I don't want to. Okay, hang on a moment, Muji.
You want to leave.
I don't want to reject it. We haven't agreed that it's a beautiful world, but let's say, for the sake of the discussion, that it's a beautiful world. I don't want to reject it. What I'm asking for, because the discussion is about Islam giving this unique thing, I've given you the best and the easiest and the fastest way for this to happen through the power of God Himself, and you're saying no, He wants to do it in His way, which is suboptimal, because any other way that I've suggested, unless you want to provide a better way, is slower, and it's likely not to happen anyway, because we were created with a desire for more and more, and all He had to do was create the desire for us to be equitable among all humans.
Okay, now I tell you that it's going to happen because He has promised us in Quran that it's going to happen, all right? But it's not going to happen overnight. And
when will it happen, Muji?
In the future, definitely. People like me are.
Is it falsifiable? Can you give me a date? And if it doesn't happen by that date, Islam is false and Allah doesn't exist. Or if it happens on that date and it's true, then I convert and I become a Muslim. Can you give me that date?
No, there is no date on that. Okay, He has waited. No, He has waited billions of years. Okay, for that to happen, and He can wait maybe thousands of years more. But I think it takes hundreds of years, all right, if not more, because it is a long way to go. He sent the final.
But He could solve it, Muji, in an instant, couldn't He? He could solve it in a nanosecond if He so chooses. But what He's going to rather do is have humans suffer for hundreds, if not thousands of years, in the hope that some humans might overcome the nature that He gave them to have a different nature and to sacrifice Himself, which was not their overriding desire, was it? Their overriding desire by your lights was to have more and more and not sacrifice themselves. So He's created this world where we're all imperfect, and some people are desperately trying to become this human to sacrifice themselves.
Okay, I told you that.
Is that the best way to do it?
I told you that He wanted to create a beautiful picture, and it was the only way. And understand that. You don't understand it. So now,
How did you, okay, Muji, how did you establish it was the only way? You said it's the only way. Is the way that life is now the only way God could have created it?
no, I mean that the only way that he created this beautiful picture, if he created us like angels, then it wouldn't be like this, I said, okay?
Okay, but that's a straw man, though, Muji. I'm not claiming that he should create us like angels. All I'm claiming, and I've said it again multiple times, is that we
Yes,
have
I
the
understand
overriding
that.
desire to help everybody. We still have free will. Nothing else changes. But instead of wanting more and more, and I'm using your example, I'm stepping into your world now. All he has to do is create us with a desire to share, or in fact, create us with this already in place. And tomorrow
Okay.
morning we wake up, Bill Gates hasn't got the money that's spread around the world everywhere else. Everybody has, it's even. We wake up tomorrow and we're all even. Would that not solve the problem?
Definitely it would solve the problem, but he wanted
Right.
that we do it ourselves by his guidance.
Oh, okay, but
Okay.
he's made it almost an impossible task, Muji, because he's giving us guidance, but he's given us a desire that's in conflict with that supposed guidance. And so
Okay.
really what you're saying is this thing is a whole test, but the way I'm going to run the test, I'm going to create you in a way that makes it exceptionally, if not impossibly hard for most humans to do. And I'm going to tell you to do the opposite of the way I've created you.
Okay.
And you think that this is a good way to create the world?
Yeah, Rob, I told you that we are living in this jungle. You want to get out of this jungle. You don't want, I told you, I don't want you.
Yes, I want to get
convert
out of it, Muji,
Yes,
and I want
yes,
God to
I
do
don't
it for us because He can
yeah,
do it more better and faster than any human. Even if all humans tomorrow decided it, He would still be able to do it faster, and He hasn't done
yeah,
so. And you
yes,
don't seem to be
yeah,
providing me a good
yeah,
reason as
okay.
to why He's created as badly as He has.
Yeah, why, this is one reason that he didn't show himself, and because if he showed himself, people would say, okay, you are God, go and do it yourself. Okay, he wanted that we do it ourselves by his guidance. That's all. So you want to get rid of this jungle, or you don't want, Rob?
Yes,
Now
I'd love to get rid of this jungle,
now the situation
Muji,
is this. Now this is the situation, Rob. Okay, now you want to get rid of this jungle, or you don't want to. I told you that, for example, Ernesto Che Guevara, he didn't believe in God, but he wanted to change. Okay, he wanted to fix the problem. So you want also you don't need to believe in God. All I ask you is that you want to also get rid of this jungle, or you don't want.
yes, I want to, but in fact, you're giving me an example now, Muji, of somebody who wasn't a believer. So in fact, Islam is not the unique answer to this. In fact, by
Okay.
your lights, by the very example you give, we should all be atheists, and we're more likely then to have self-sacrifice and get out of this jungle. So can I invite you to atheism on the show right now, please? And I'll even do you an atheist shahada. Would you like to do that? Because your example was a man who was an atheist.
All right. Now I tell you that. First, you have to accept that you want to get rid of this jungle, okay? And then after you accept that one, I can prove you that we cannot get rid of this jungle without God's guidance, okay? Ernesto Che Guevara,
go ahead.
Yes, Ernesto Che Guevara was great, okay? He was a great man. He was a human being, and he sacrificed himself. But I know by fact, I know that he and his ideology. Let me tell you like this, that we are living in a jungle that is our nature, and this jungle is run by our nature. It doesn't need any ideology, okay? No religion, nothing, okay? Because we don't need to believe in something. It runs itself in on our nature. Yeah. You are stronger, you get more. You are weaker, you get less. But in that society, it has to run by a belief, because we have to believe in something. We have to believe in sacrificing, because I have to work hard and get as much as I need. Okay, in that society is that you work as much as you can and you get as much as you need. All right. So in that
Can
society,
I get that without God? Can I have that without God?
All right. It is you cannot keep it. It will fall, because people need a stronger motivation. Okay, like I told you that, for example, every day we have to stand towards Mecca and prostrate to that beautiful way, which we say to him, show me the right way, and I prostrate to that way, which is equality. Do you know why we dress equal in Mecca when we go there for Hajj? There, nobody is rich, nobody is poor. Have you ever thought majority of Muslims don't think about it, that why they dress equal there, and why we have to stand towards Mecca and say, show me the right way, because that's the that's the way he wants us to live, equal. Okay. And in that way, for example, you want to give up this luxury life, this luxury world, Ferrari, Lamborghini, all this private jet and all these things. So you have to have a stronger belief, motivation. And if we can do it without God, God will say, okay, please do it. Okay. It is only thing that I say, that I believe that it is not possible without his guidance and without, it is like
okay, Muji, hang on a second.
Yes,
let me
yes.
just make sure I understand you. You're saying that with what you mean by without his guidance is somehow that we keep being reminded by him, because if we weren't reminded by him, then what we'd forget, we'd stray off. But Muslims do that already. They go and do the Hajj, and then they go back and they do what they were always doing.
Yeah,
right?
because
and they chase money as well. Look at Saudi Arabia, look at all of these. Maybe they're not good Muslims by your lights. So even when they go and do all of these things, they are still falling by the wayside, and they are not producing the world you talk about, because the world you talk about, they want to subjugate anybody who's not Muslim in most of these countries. Is that the perfect world you're talking about?
No,
where
I'm not
it's Muslim,
yes.
or you're second-class citizen?
Yes, I'm talking about that a word that people understand that way. I know that I told you from beginning that maybe almost just few, maybe million Muslims understand it now, because 21st century they have started to. I started to realize it in 21st century. Okay, I actually yes, 21st century, because I became Muslims like 15 years ago. But there are people whom I follow as well. They started to realize this 1958 something. Okay, in 1958 there were several students who started to realize and establish an organization, and with this ideology that okay, Islam is this and this and this. Islam's fight is between oppressor and oppressed. Okay, in Islam the fight is not between believers and non-believers. So they came to this idea that Islam's fight is against oppressor. And in this fight,
who's the oppressor? Who's the oppressor, Muji?
The oppressor is there are lots of oppressor. Okay, those who are ruling the planet. God says in Quran that what is it? I promise you that one day the oppressed will rule and inherit the planet. Okay, and he's all
okay, but I would argue, Muji, that's what's happening now, because Muslims oppressed people for close on 1400 years. They conquered North Africa, Eastern and Southern Europe, and other parts of the Middle East. So they were the oppressors originally. Now those who are oppressed are taking control, right? Yeah. So God's will has been fulfilled. What's the problem?
Yeah, look, I said that there are oppressors everywhere, among Muslims, there are among Christians, among Jews and everybody. Okay, there are oppressors. And this is because of the system I told you from the beginning that make them, give them this desire and opportunity to become richer by being oppressor. Okay, like
you mean like Muslims used to do? Is that what you mean?
I said that they are in all different beliefs. Those who do oppress people, they don't believe in Islam. Okay, they don't follow Islam, because Islam doesn't want you to oppress. This is a big crime that you oppress anybody. Okay.
Okay. Well, okay, but hang on a second, Muji. Then most of the Muslims in the past, before, according to you, 1970, or many of them for 1,000 years, did exactly that. Were they all bad Muslims who didn't understand the true Islam?
Yes, they were those who oppress people. They
okay, but okay, great. So you're saying all these people who were oppressed for 1,000 years didn't understand it properly. But on the other hand, you're trying to say that God is giving us guidance, and these are the people that were supposed to be following the book, and yet by your lights they followed the book incorrectly. Now, is it their fault, or is it in fact the case that God can't send a clear enough message that Muslims for over 1,000 years can follow it correctly?
It was too early for people to understand it, as I said.
Okay. Yes. So is the true Islam is only meant for people today in the 1970s onwards. All the Muslims before that, Islam wasn't for them because they couldn't understand it properly. No, but Islam, you and some other people understand it correctly today?
Look, Islam, I mean, God tried to solve our problems in the past. Like when he sent Moses, there was a problem at his time. Like 600,000 people were slaves. So he saved those slaves from slavery, okay? And then he brought them to, and then he taught them good things, commanded them that don't do this, don't do that, because there were problems, okay? Don't steal. Let me tell you in this way.
Okay, but hang on,
Was it-
Muji,
Yes.
before you tell me something else, you claim that he tried to solve it with these slaves and so forth, and he saved all these people. Did that solve the problem?
I said that it was too, he didn't, it was too
So
early
he
for
tried
people.
and failed then. Is that correct,
No,
Muji?
he
Let's just
didn't.
agree on
No.
something. He
Yes,
tried to
okay.
do something with the slaves, and that methodology failed. So God failed in his first attempt, and he's trying again, and he's trying again.
No, he didn't fail, Rob. It was uh, at that time he solved those problems. The problem which was possible to solve for that time. Okay, and again and
Whoa,
again,
Muji, hang on. Whoa,
yes,
buddy. You are
yes,
saying that it's only possible for God to be limited by human beings. Is it not the case that he could solve all problems instantaneously?
he could. Yes,
He could. So
yeah.
why didn't he
But
do it then? You're saying because he wasn't able to do it,
no,
or he
I
only
didn't say he
solved
wasn't
those
able.
problems
No,
at the time.
no, I didn't say he wasn't able. We were not able to understand it. Okay, Rob, all this again is going. I told you that I don't want that you try to reject God. I don't want that you become a Muslim or believing in God. I want you to just accept that we need to get rid of this jungle with the jungle rules. Okay, to accept that this system is guiding us to all bad deeds. Okay, so that we can come to a conclusion, and then later we will decide to see if we can do it
Okay,
without
but
God.
Muji, I
Without
understand.
God.
I understand what you're Muji, I understand what you're saying. And for the
Mhm.
whole sake of this discussion, I have been, accepting this hypothetical of your world. I'm not even pushing back at this stage that what
Okay.
we want to do by your lights is get out of this jungle. So I'm
Yeah.
asking you how best to do this. And you're saying Islam is the solution. But when we look back in history, by your own admission, Islam was not the solution, because all of this supposed guidance that God gave, people didn't follow, and they've still not got it right up until today. And you've agreed that God could have solved this much easier, either with himself or better guidance, or giving us a desire above the desire we have, and we can still have free will. So I'm playing by your rules and saying, yes, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying for the sake of this discussion. I'm not even challenging capitalism, but you're still not showing me that Islam is the answer. In fact, our discussion so far has shown me that Islam is not the answer, because it
Okay.
could have easily been the answer, and it has seemed to fail. And God has tried and obviously not succeeded where he could have succeeded first time out, and it would have been an example for all of humankind thereafter.
Okay, but Rob, God sent his messages slowly but slowly, little by little. Okay, you can say, for example, that why God didn't send his message right away to the
Yes,
first
why didn't
prophet.
he?
Yeah,
Correct.
because it was too early for people to understand it. And so he sent it
Well, hang on though,
slowly,
Muji. When
slowly.
you make these Muji, when you make these claims, we need to discuss them. We can't just jump over them. You saying it's too early. What do you mean that it was too early? They couldn't understand. Could God not have created them such that they did understand his message?
He didn't want it, to create us like, I don't know, like if there are some aliens that are much smarter than us. He created, there are billions of perhaps aliens out there. Maybe he has created them differently. Okay, so
Muji, all I'm asking,
he created us in this way, Rob. Okay, so
Muji, all I'm asking, yeah, I understand you saying he's created this way. What I'm asking is, could he not have created us such that we could understand the message? We can still have free will, and then we've got a better chance to follow it. Because if these Muslims in the past couldn't understand it because it wasn't right for them, or they weren't right for the message, then why would he even give a message at that stage? Rather bring the message today. It seems to me that the
no,
people at that time could
he
have
should,
at least been created such that
yes.
they could understand the message, or he could have sent the message more clearly.
Okay,
Clearly, neither of those two things happened.
okay, it's like you say that, for example, a professor, education to a professor. Why we don't teach that education right away to a child? 6, 7 years old child, because it's too early. So you have to teach them step by
Yeah,
step.
I understand the analogy though, but that's a false analogy, Muji, because God has the power to not make it so early. He could make it such that those people understand it. All I'm asking is that at this moment in time is that he makes the people such that they can understand it. Why would you create people that cannot understand and implement your message at that time? Are they an example for us of the sort of humans we should not be? Is that the purpose for creating these people who didn't understand or follow Islam at that time? Are they simply examples of what we should avoid?
Once again, today there are examples that we should avoid.
Are the Muslims in the past examples that we should avoid? So we should all look at them, including you and all of us, and go, okay, those Muslims from Muhammad's time until 1970, those Muslims in general got it all wrong, and they are not the example to follow.
I mean, there were even, we call it Hippocrates around Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We call it munafiqun, okay? Those who were lying to Prophet Muhammad that we believe in you, but in reality they didn't do that, okay? So there are different levels. There were Muslims who were less understanding, Muslims who were more understanding Islam. So, for example, Bukhari, okay, you have heard his name, yeah?
Yes.
Bukhari, he was a terrible person, for example, for me. He wrote, he lied a lot about Islam as well. He implemented barbaric rules, which is not in Islam, is not in Quran, like stoning adulterers, killing apostate, okay? Because he couldn't change Quran, okay? He started to fabricate.
So he was a badly guided Muslim. Let me ask you this, Muji. Is there any Muslim in human history prior to the 1970s who is the example of the perfect Muslim?
Yes, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and then.
And how is he the example? Because he didn't agree. He didn't want equality among all humans. In fact, he had slaves. And I hope you would agree that slavery is a bad thing. He had slaves, therefore he cannot be the perfect example.
Look, I don't know if these stories are even true. Even if he had slaves, he was, for example, we know that Bilal was a slave, and he bought it and he released him. He wanted to release slaves, so he didn't have slaves in that way. They could. These are, we even don't know.
Did he ever own slaves, my friend? Muji, my friend, did Muhammad ever own slaves?
Slaves in that way, no. Okay, even if I say, even if
what way did he own slaves?
I say if he had, because we are not sure that he had slaves. They say, okay, but I'm not sure that because it was against his principle of Islam, and he shouldn't have slaves. Okay, so these are some stories that might be false, fabricated. All right, so.
Where are you getting this from? Because most Muslims, Sunni and Shia, accept that Muhammad owned slaves, and then they want to explain how that was moral. You are, in fact, going against the majority of every Muslim I've ever spoken to or anything I've ever heard of, and you're saying, no, in fact, there were no slaves at all that Muhammad owned or suggested were allowed. So where are you getting this from?
If he owned slaves, why he free Bilal? You know, Bilal is a very famous. He was a slave.
You're breaking up a little bit to me there. Are you asking if he had slaves, why did he free some of them?
I mean,
is that the question?
If he owned slave, why he freed Bilal? Bilal was one of the best companion of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay.
Okay, so he freed a slave, but he owned other ones. Is he the perfect example?
Okay, I say he freed that slave. If he wanted to take slave, why he didn't take him as a slave? This is a
he did take slaves. The fact that he freed some doesn't mean that he didn't trade other slaves.
That's your opinion. You say that majority of
the evidence that virtually every Muslim that I've ever spoken to agrees with. They just want to say that slavery's not a bad thing. You want to come along and say, in fact, that he never owned slaves, or that if he freed one, he would have owned him. So let me ask you something, Muji. Let's just check in. If we're talking about moral examples, which is the better moral example? Somebody that has the opportunity to own a slave but rejects it, or somebody that owns a slave and at some point at a later date sets them free? Which one of those two is the more moral person?
He didn't own the slave. He just, and they were torturing this slave, Bilal. He just bought it and then released it right away. Okay. He made him free. He didn't own him. So because he was tortured by his owner, he should
if
buy
he purchased him, my friend, that is ownership. That is ownership, my friend.
But this was the way was working 1400 years ago. You're asking for something that is
but hang on, Muji. You said, hang on a second, Muji.
Yes.
No, I'm not asking for too much. You said he's the perfect example and he has the power of God on his side. Let me ask it to you. You didn't answer my previous question, so I'll try a slightly different one. If I have the power to get somebody freed as a slave, that's one example, or I purchase them first and free them, which one of those two is the better thing to do?
I mean, this is, again, you come to that. Rob, I was going to tell you that there is a way to get out of this jungle, and you go to something 1400 years ago, okay, to say that this, okay, let's say that it was wrong, okay, let's accept that. All right. Another thing is that I want to tell you about a majority of Muslims believe as well that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, stoned people to death, which is absolutely untrue. It's a big lie.
I'm not even talking about that. Let's assume that's a lie for the sake of the discussion. I'm not even going there. We don't need to go on to that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, just because majority of Muslims don't understand Islam.
You can discuss that with other Muslims. I'm not making making that claim here now.
Yes. So now I tell you that if I told you from beginning as well that don't try to argue that because Islam is bad, I want to live in this jungle. Okay, I want that guide people out of this jungle. Where is the source of our problems? Okay, and I want to tell you there is a solution. Okay, you don't accept it. That's your problem. I just came to this show to say that solution is in Islam. Islam wants us to get rid of this system.
Yeah, but I'm listening to you, Muji, and I'm not hearing the solution in Islam because I believe.
Okay,
but hang on, Muji. But because I believe I have given you the best possible solution that Islam could possibly offer, and you're rejecting it and saying, no, God couldn't do that.
No, but Rob, I want to get rid of this jungle. Please tell me, do you have a solution? I leave Islam right now.
By your lights, I've got a solution as a Muslim. Remember, I'm stepping into your world. My solution is we pray to Allah that this changes overnight and tomorrow morning everybody is free and we're all equal. That's the best solution Islam can offer. And if we're true Muslims and we believe that Allah is a just God, we could all pray to him tonight and tomorrow we're all free. And if that doesn't happen, Muji, then you should then deconvert and no longer be a Muslim.
No, all right. So if it doesn't happen, if it doesn't happen, then I have to accept that I have to live in this jungle. Yes.
No, you don't have to accept that. You could accept that you want to change it, but Islam doesn't have the answer because you pray to the most powerful being, the creator of all universe, and he didn't want to do what you think he wants to be the case. And even when you prayed and we all asked for that, it didn't happen. That should convince you that Islam isn't true and that is not the answer.
All right, Rob, let's say that Islam is not the true, okay? Then I want to get rid of this jungle, okay? Can you help me, guide me out of this jungle?
So now we've got to this position. Now we have to talk about what this jungle is and whether it's in fact as bad as you suggest. So now we're on a completely different thing. Exactly. But let's just make sure that before we move on, let's just make sure, are you going to pray? And if it doesn't happen, you're going to deconvert?
No, I'm not going to do that because I know, as I told you, that I know why I'm praying, okay? I'm praying to, prostrating to that, I'm not praying, okay? I'm prostrating to that equality, all right?
Who are you doing that to? Are you doing that to God?
I ask him to show me the right way.
Why don't you just ask him to solve the problem?
He doesn't do that. He says himself that
he doesn't solve problems.
No. I tell you that he says himself, "I'm not going to do that unless you do it, because I have given you the guidance." Okay, so he wants us to do it ourselves by his guidance. I told you.
Okay, but that hasn't worked, Muji. What makes you think it's going to work now when it hasn't worked for 1400 years?
Because I told you that we were not as educated as we are now, okay, and it will work. He has promised us, And it has already worked in that society that I'm following myself, all right? And it will
Which
work.
society? Which society?
Just because you don't know it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Because you
Well, I'm
don't
asking you,
hear.
which society?
There was a city, okay, small city in Iraq, all right? There were a group of people, thousands of people were living there, and they were sharing everything with each other. Money didn't exist, and it was bombed and destroyed by US and UK when they occupied Iraq in 2003. It didn't have anything to do with Iraq and Saddam. They were Iranian, the organization I told you that I follow. And then now they have moved to Albania. They are living there, and they are trying to free Iranian people. And their aim is to create such a world, okay? So
Okay, if you think, Muji, that this is the perfect way to live, why are you not there helping them?
Because I'm trying to help them, yes, but I'm not that strong to leave my family,
But that's the calling of God, is it not? Isn't that more important?
So it is very important, but that doesn't make the case wrong. Just because I cannot,
Well, you can. I'm not, by the way, Muji, let me just make it clear. I'm not asking you to leave your family. Remember what this is. I don't know if you understand the term. It's called an internal critique. I'm standing next to you, pretending to be a fellow Muslim, and you're trying to convince me that you have the answer by your understanding of Islam today. And you're saying that the best way to do this, to solve the world's problems, is follow the example of this that got bombed, that have now moved. These are the people should all be following. The world should behave like these people. Is that what you're suggesting?
You don't understand that that place they are fighting. Okay, they are working 24 hours. They don't have wife, husband, children. They don't have any personal life.
Who are you talking about? These people in Albania?
Yes. It is very difficult for not everybody.
Okay, but that's what God said, right? This is a test from God, is it not?
Yeah, okay. Yes, but you...
Is it, or is it not a test?
Yeah, it is, but it is not so easy for everybody. And God says
but that's...
no, listen to me. No, Rob, listen to me. Wait. God says himself, I don't put much on you more than what you can bear, okay? What you can carry. So I can carry this much. I'm helping them. I'm going everywhere, demonstration. I put as much as is possible for me, okay? But I don't reject it. The leader also say, only you pray for us, that's great, okay? So it is not like this that, it is great. It's perfect that if everybody go there and then live like that and, put their entire life.
Okay, Muji, just stop there for a moment. Just stop there for a moment, please.
Yeah, okay.
You're saying that the best thing you can do is speak about this. And in fact, you're saying that this leader is not asking you to go and help there, but to pray. Pray to whom, Muji?
And to pray that they succeed.
Yeah, but to pray to whom?
Pray to God that, help them
great.
To succeed.
And if you pray to God, which is what this leader of this country or settlement, whom you're holding up as an example, he's telling you what to do because you think that this is the example to get us out of the jungle, is to follow what these people are doing. And he's telling you, instead of coming to help me and bring your family with you, yes, it's going to...
No, he doesn't say instead. He doesn't say instead. He said as much as you can, okay?
No, what I'm saying to you is... what I'm saying to you is that this guy, the leader that you're talking about of this perfect place is, or the place that not perfect, but the place that you think is an example that we should follow because this will get us out of the jungle. Instead of him saying, Muji, bring your family and come and help us, and we can together be an example for the world, he's rather saying to you, pray to the God who's not going to make that change until humans make the change. Why don't you tell the leader that praying isn't going to be helpful? Because you yourself have admitted in this discussion that God is not going to do anything. He wants us to do it. So by that light, you should be going there to do it because praying is completely useless.
I'm helping them, but not in that case that to go there, okay?
Why not?
They don't have that possibility either to accept everybody. All right.
What do you mean they haven't got the possibility to help everybody?
they don't have that possibility to accept everybody there.
So they can only take a few people. Why aren't you one of those? And why don't you tell the leader that you shouldn't be praying? Because you and I have had a discussion. You've realized that
Rob,
praying is not the answer, because God is not going to help us. We've got to do it ourselves, because that's the test that God has sent us. So why don't you correct the leader? Because in fact, he's making it worse and not better, because he's telling people like you to pray, which you know is not the right answer. And in fact, there's a better answer.
Rob, you just want to reject this, accept this jungle by all means, okay? You try to reject the way out of this jungle. I don't understand. Do you care about those children who are being bombed? Just because
Muji.
I do, okay, listen to me, Bob, listen to me. Just because I don't do 100%, you want to accept this jungle. You want to see people are suffering. Do you want that or what? Can you tell
Muji,
me?
have we not had the discussion? I said to you, for the sake of this discussion, I want to get rid of this jungle that you keep claiming we're talking about. And now I'm listening to, hang on, listen. Now I'm listening to you to give us the solution. And when I hear the solution from you saying, hang on, here's this example of people, they got, bombed, and this was terrible. And the Allied forces did something that's, again, remember, I'm accepting everything you say. I'm not even challenging it, but I'm listening to the solution that you're claiming. And then you claim that you have this particular settlement with a leader who's telling you what to do, and this is the way that we should follow it. And then I ask, why don't you go there? And the leader is telling you to do something that you yourself have admitted doesn't work. So I'm sitting here, imagine that I'm a Muslim now. I'm sitting here scratching my head and going, I have no clue how to help you here. Because when the leader tells you to do something, you say, no, but God said that we shouldn't pray because we have to do it ourselves. And then I go, okay, well, maybe we should go and do it ourselves. And you say, no, we can't do that either, because the leader can't accept all of us. So what do we do here, Muji? Since Islam is the answer, and this is the perfect, or this is the best example to follow. How do we do this?
Bob, I told you that just because I cannot go there, you cannot reject this way, okay? Just because I cannot go, because I'm not that strong. I didn't say from beginning that I'm that strong to put my life, okay, to give my life. All right, I can do this much. So,
Muji, my friend, you said to me that sacrifice is the way God wants it, and now you're saying you're not prepared to sacrifice.
No, I didn't say I'm not prepared to sacrifice. I said that I'm not prepared to sacrifice 100%. Okay, I have sacrificed.
Why not?
Because listen to me. 33 years. Okay, 33 years. I haven't gone to my home country. I haven't visited my home country. Just because I have sacrificed, I want to be able to say whatever I want. I want to fight against the Iranian regime, okay? That's a great sacrifice in itself. I have been everywhere on this planet demonstrating against Iranian regime. I have been in many different, I'm helping financially this organization. So this much, you say, why I can't? Because I am like this, okay? But what I can do is that I can say that there is a possibility to get rid of this jungle, and this is not what I am saying. This is what Quran says. Okay, so just because I don't do that, you want to reject all this beautiful word, and you want to continue to live in this jungle? Or what?
No, Muji, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm looking at you as an example, because you said that Islam was the answer. You've given an example by today's standard, because you've said the rest of the Muslims, apart from Muhammad, which even you might accept wasn't perfect, but let's assume he was perfect, all the rest of them got this wrong. You're giving me an example of, and remember, I'm now stepping into your world, go, let me see what it would be like if I was a Muslim, so we could solve this jungle by your lights. But I still don't get a clear idea that you have a solution. And the person that you're pointing to that I ought to look for, this settlement, tells you, no, don't come and help me, but pray. And then when I ask you, why should we pray? You said earlier that praying doesn't help us. So he's telling you to do something that is not going to solve the problem. And you also said that everything is a test and we should sacrifice, but you aren't a perfect example. So if I was a Muslim, if I were a Muslim now, I'm going, hang on a moment, I'm confused here. Muji is telling me he's got the solution, but A, he's not an example. B, he's been told to do things that he shouldn't be doing, because God's not going to do that anyway. So I'm going to be, as a Muslim, I'd be skeptical that you've got the answer to anything at the moment.
No, listen, Rob, I didn't say I have the answer. I said Islam has the answer. I said that I understand that answer. It is in Quran. I didn't say that I have the answer. If I had
And
the
we
answer,
asked you for an example, and you've given this example of these
yes,
gentlemen, this person or people in Albania, yes?
Yes, there is an example. I said that it is possible. No, I gave that example because you said that it is impossible and it never will happen. I gave you that example that
I
it
never
is
said that.
possible.
I said, give me an example of where it has happened.
No, yeah, exactly. So I gave you the example that it has happened. It is a small, but it doesn't mean that it will, stays small. It will become bigger and bigger. And hopefully one day,
How's it going to become bigger though, Muji? Because you said the man can't accept everybody. And instead he's telling people to pray, which in fact is not the right answer, even by your own admission. So how is this going to work?
Yes, it's going to work by bringing down the Iranian regime and starting to rebuild Iran, and then
let's say you bring down the Iranian regime in your lifetime.
Okay,
how is that going to solve the problem? Because the problem isn't the Iranian regime. That's a small problem. By your lights, the biggest problem is capitalism, which is Satan, and Iran is only a small part of that.
Yes.
The entire rest of the world is Satan. So you're going to solve a problem where the problem is the least big problem. Iran is not the biggest problem in the world, is it?
No.
By your light.
No, I didn't say that.
Why are you going after the problem Rob, that is the smallest problem, or one of the smaller problems?
Yes, Rob, I told you that it is not going to happen in our lifetime. It's going to happen maybe hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years.
Okay, so why should any of us care about it then, Muji?
Why you should care about it? You mean that you should be, just because it might happen in thousands of years, you don't want to try to fight it?
Well, because I haven't got a clear. You haven't given me a good example. The example you gave me, the guy's telling us to do things that isn't actually going to solve the problem. So as a Muslim, I'm pretending to be a Muslim now. I'm confused. I would rather just pray to God and he solves this problem, because humans seem to be very confused. You and the guy that's leading this Albanian things, you're very confused. You haven't got a clear message of how we do this. So if I was a Muslim and I wanted to do everything you told me, I'm sitting and going, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, it's great if you could go there and sacrifice everything, okay? But it is not, I mean, if you cannot do that, it's not the whole world that you have to reject the whole idea just because you cannot do that, okay? So it's great that somebody can do that. Somebody cannot do that, it's okay. But you cannot reject let's say, for example, we want to bring down the Iranian regime. Let's don't talk about the problem of the war. We want to bring the Iranian regime down, okay? So some people just go and demonstrate. Some people go to that Albanian camp and sacrifice everything, their lives as well, okay? Totally. So it doesn't mean that we have to reject the idea of bringing down the dictatorship in Iran and free Iranian people. We cannot reject the whole idea just because some people cannot go there and fight totally 100%.
Well, they could, right? They just choose not to.
They could, yes, everybody could,
yeah.
but everybody.
Let me just check in.
No, let me say everybody are not as strong as you know.
Okay, but let me just check. Let me just check if we both have the same concept of Islam. Is the concept that life is a test, and the greater the test, the greater the reward? Is that the concept that you agree with?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought about that. That it is, yes, it is a test, but the greatest test could be maybe, yeah. But
okay, well, maybe that's something to think about, because if the greatest test gives you the greatest reward, then you should welcome the greatest test, right? And not shy away from it. Because otherwise, likely, and I'm your fellow Muslim for this discussion, you will be judged by God for stepping away from a test where you would have got greater glory.
Okay.
And God is in fact telling you it's a test, and that you should face up to the test with the greatest possible, relish, because you get the greatest reward. And after all, this is a very short life, and you're likely to make a greater, impact if you face up to the hardest test.
Okay. But if I don't do it, doesn't make the whole idea wrong. No?
I never said it did. But what I am suggesting is, as a fellow Muslim here next to you in this discussion, I am confused as to what I, as a Muslim, ought to do here. Because if I ought to sacrifice myself because that's the greatest test, life is a test, the greater the test, the greatest reward, then I ought to go and either attack the Iranian regime, or I ought to go and work in Albania. And then I'm looking to you, because you're sending me the message to see what example you are so I can follow you. And you're going, but I'm not the example to follow. So I'm going, well, and then you're saying to me, but hang on, the leader is telling me not to come there either, but to pray. And I'm going, but hang on, if I pray, then God should solve it. If you're saying that God doesn't solve the problem, then why should I pray? So I'm a very confused Muslim at this moment in time.
He didn't say just pray. He said that as much as you can, okay? Help as much as you can. And this much I
What
can.
does help look like, Muji? What does that help look like?
The demonstration, financially support, and on social media, I'm doing a lot of things. Okay, so
okay, so we shouldn't pray anymore. You agree that praying doesn't help, and you're going to contact him because you want the best for him, right? So
yes.
Are you going to agree with me and promise me on this show that you're going to contact him and say to him that we should not be praying to Allah for help, because in fact the solution is that we've got to do it ourselves. Allah, by your light, you said earlier in this conversation, Allah won't make any changes. We've got to do it as humans. That's what his desire is, according to you, is that we shouldn't pray to him because we've got to do it. So you are going to contact this man and tell him not to tell people to do the wrong thing, because that's not going to help them.
He said the minimum is that, okay? Instead fighting.
Why would you do that? It doesn't help them.
Yeah, I mean, that's at least you agree with them, okay? When you pray for them, you agree with them that they are right people.
Yeah, but it's unhelpful. Instead of praying, I could be doing something that will actually help them. Why would I be praying when by your light, by your understanding, praying makes no difference?
Okay, he accept any help, okay? He didn't say just pray, don't do anything else. Okay, he said that. Okay, look,
I agree that you can do other things, Muji, but praying, you agree. Okay, you and I, can we agree that praying has no effect? In fact, it's detrimental to pray. Would you agree with me?
I don't know if it doesn't have any effect, but I mean, there might be effect.
You said earlier, Muji, do you remember what you said earlier in the conversation? That God is not going to do this. He wants us to do it, and therefore praying is not going to help us.
Yes, no. I mean, definitely, such a big problems. He's not going to do it. He wants.
Okay, so we can agree that praying is not helpful. In fact, that time taken up praying to him, when you know he's not going to make any change, could be better spent doing something else that would help us get out of this jungle.
Yes, it is exactly. Right. I mean, he wants us to do it ourselves, and that's why he has sent us the message, and he has told us how to do it, and we have to do it ourselves. Okay, so he wants us.
So you agree that praying is not helpful. Then please do tell him next time you speak to him not to tell people that, because if I was a Muslim, then I ought not to be praying. I ought to be doing something else that will better help serve this cause.
Okay, he said that's the minimum you can do. Okay, now let's leave this one behind, because with this one, just praying, you cannot, reject the entire idea that Iranian regime should be changed. Okay, am I right or wrong?
Sorry, are you right or wrong about what? That we should change the Iranian regime?
Regime, yes. That just because.
Yes, I think we should, but I've got different reasons to you.
Yeah. Okay.
And at the moment, Muji, we've been talking for an hour and 17 minutes, or give or take thereabouts, and I don't see Islam being the solution. In fact, I see Islam being the problem and not the solution. So can we, because we need to bring this to a close at some point, can you give me a clear sort of closing statement or a few thoughts on how, in a succinct way, you think that Islam is the problem, Islam is the solution? Because I haven't seen that being the solution.
Rob, yes, from beginning, I was telling you that Islam says the source of all our problems is this system, okay? And Islam wants us to get rid of this system and live equal, okay? So do you think that this system is the source of our problems or not? Let's talk about that.
No, I don't. I don't think that capitalist is the source of all of our problems. It is maybe the source of some problems, but certainly not all of them. But I'm also not clear, though, Muji, where Islam says this. So can you point me somewhere in the Quran so I can go and look it up myself? Because when Muslims make claims, I want to check them. So where is it that Islam says that we ought to dismantle capitalism?
Okay, it doesn't say capitalism, because capitalism didn't exist. It says that Satan spread poverty among you and lead you to immorality. So Satan's, and then, as I said, the picture, he asked us to prostrate to Mecca, okay? And there we are all equal. And we say, show me the right way. And then after we are there with those dress of equality, we 7 times go around the center of this equality, and we say to him that we accept it, and then we reject. We go and stone the Satan he told us, which is opposite to this equality, the inequality. The Satan he
great.
Let me say that the Satan he described to us is the one who spread poverty among us. And poverty, as a person in 21st century, poverty doesn't exist if capitalism doesn't exist. Poverty is opposite to wealth. If wealth doesn't exist, poverty will not exist. So Satan without capitalism is totally powerless. Okay, so there will be yes. So now tell me, give me a big problem. No, let me see. Give me a big problem on this planet, like prostitution, drugs, war, and all these things that doesn't have anything to do with capitalism. Just give me one of them.
Give you a problem that doesn't have to do with capitalism.
Yes, like for example,
the oppression of women.
That's a listen. I told you a big problem. Like
is the oppression of women not a big problem?
That's
in the world.
No, look, that's also what is it? Consequences of the capitalism. Okay, I will. That's
no. The oppression of women is not the consequence of capitalism. Yes, religion is the reason women are oppressed around the world, and women are more oppressed in religious countries than any capitalist countries.
Okay.
So I've given you an example of something that is not to do with capitalism, in fact, to do with religion.
Okay, Rob, this take very long time. You try to all the time take it to religion. Let me see drug problem.
You asked me for a problem that is not the consequence of capitalism, and I gave you one.
Okay,
the oppression of women.
Okay, can we try to first of all to take these big problems like drug problem or corruption. Corruption is a big problem in the world. Okay, weapon. Okay, these weapon industries they create a lot of war, conflict around the world because they want to sell their weapons. So are these connected to capitalism or not?
Not necessarily. Muslim countries buy them. They have drugs in their countries as well. They claim that they have laws against it, just like capitalism, and yet drugs are available in Muslim countries. So all of these problems that you say are capitalist are also available in Muslim countries.
Rob, there is no Muslim countries on this planet. Okay? Muslim country doesn't exist on this planet. Just because the majority are Muslim doesn't mean that they are living by Islamic standards. For example,
yes, I got it. Right. So there's no Muslim countries.
No, let me tell you.
So what are all these? Okay, Muji, these countries that claim to be Muslim. What system are they using? Are they using the satanic system?
All of them using the satanic. Let me tell you. For example, in Islam, interest is haram, forbidden. Okay, when you go to this Islamic, they call themselves Islamic banks, and you ask them how much is my interest, they say, oh no, here we say profit, we don't say interest. Come on, this is the same profit.
Hey, I agree with you. They're just trying to get around it.
Exactly. So they are not Muslim. They just, all of them are run by the satanic
system. Okay, let me just ask you something, Muji. Okay. Do you think that charging somebody to loan them money is a bad thing?
Charging somebody to, yes, it is a bad thing.
Because you're saying that interest is a bad thing.
Yes. I mean, according to...
Okay. Why would somebody want to give people money when the chances are, at least at some level, that they may not get their money back?
You went again away from that. I said the source of all problems is this system. You went again.
Okay, let's go back to that. No problem. Let's go back to the source of this problems. Let's go back to that because you aren't going to answer any of these questions.
No,
okay. I'm going to disagree with you that Satan is this interpretation of this. Most Muslims, and if I stepped into your worldview, please convince me that Satan isn't in fact some sort of being, and it's in fact a system. How did you come to that interpretation, and why should I accept that instead of it being some sort of being that's in opposition to God?
All right, let me tell you. According to Abrahamic religion, okay, Satan is everywhere and fooling everybody equally. Am I right or not? You must have heard these things. Okay, if we are going to talk about Satan, then you have to take the Satan version, because Hinduism doesn't have Satan. Satan is just Abrahamic religion's version. Okay, so according to Abrahamic religion, Satan is a power or an angel.
It's a being. It's a being, right? It's an entity. It's a being.
Yes, it's a being, yeah, that has
and it
power.
influences or potentially influences human beings. Yes.
Yes, he is everywhere on this planet equally. Okay, everybody.
Well,
But
I'm not sure if that's the case.
no,
Maybe it is.
it is.
But
Yeah,
people
it is.
can. Some people can resist it, can't they?
Exactly. Yes, but
Yeah.
he tried with everybody equally, but some people can resist it. Yes. So
I'm not sure if he tried with everybody equally. How did you establish that?
Yeah, because he tried with everybody equally. He has said it in Quran that I will try to fool them, except those who, I mean, those who follow you. God said that I will, what is it? I will guide them.
Okay, so the ones that follow God are ones that can't be tempted. So he's not doing it to everybody, is it? You mean everybody that's not following God?
No, he does with everybody, but some people reject him. Okay, so he's doing it for everybody. He's doing it equally. All right. When we are born, we are not born Muslims. Okay, we are not born believers. We grow up and then we learn and then we accept it. So Satan tried to fool us as long as we don't understand it. Okay.
So you don't think we've got an innate fitra, just to be clear, Muji?
We don't have what?
We don't have, according to Muslims, an innate fitra, an innate belief in a God. You're saying that this comes later in life.
Yes, definitely. I don't believe they say that revert. Have you heard this? Revert.
Yes. You don't believe in that either.
I disagree with that. I say I am converted.
Me too. I'm glad we can agree on something.
No,
problem for you is you're going to have a hard time justifying this to other Muslims, but at least we're in agreement that there's no such thing as a revert.
No, there is no such a thing, because I accepted
I'm glad we can agree on
around 35 years old. I'm not born Muslim. Nobody's born Muslim.
I agree with you. Fantastic. I'm glad we're in agreement on something.
Yes, no. Anyway, this Satan, fool everybody equally. Now, if Satan is everywhere and fooling everybody at the same time, then why farmers of Afghanistan produce 90% of the world opium, while farmers of Sweden, they don't produce any drugs?
Okay. So there's a couple of reasons why that could be the case. One, it's easier for them to do. Two, they're allowed to do it. And three, there's always going to be people, no matter what you give them, that want something more. Because remember, by your lights, God has created us to want more. So even if you have this idyllic life, let's say every human on the planet had a double-story house, had a Ferrari outside and a swimming pool, there's still going to be people who want drugs, who want to feel better. All humans want to feel good. And when they can't feel good, they'll look for it in drugs. So even if we had your perfect world, I suspect that we'd still have people, because even the richest people in the world, those people that by your lights have everything, they still do drugs. So even if tomorrow we allocated and everybody's perfect, there would still be people who would want to, create these drugs, if not for themselves, for other people. Because again, they want to share it with other people. Everybody wants to feel good. So I don't think you're ever going to eliminate the drug problem.
All right. No, Rob, that's is not going to, because people are producing it to sell it. When they cannot sell it, they will not produce it. Okay. Let's give you.
What's your argument for that? I've just given you reason to think the opposite.
Okay. No, look, farmers of Afghanistan, they produce opium because they can sell it more. All right. Because potatoes and tomatoes doesn't give them enough money because they are poor. As I told you, Quran said that Satan spread poverty among you and lead you to immorality. So because they are more. Now I give you a better example. In each, I don't know where you live in London or what?
No, I won't say where I live, but I live in the UK.
You live in anyway. I don't know small.
I used to live in London.
All right. Usually big cities, they have a slum area, they have a rich area, and for example, I was here even in Stockholm. We have richer area, we have poorer area, and everywhere. For example, Harlem and Beverly Hills, always in slum areas, crimes is much higher than in a richer area. Okay, it doesn't mean that Satan is more powerful in those slum areas, less powerful in those richer areas. It's because people's need is less in those richer areas. So Satan cannot influence them because they don't have need. Another example, a great example, I tell you, is my home
Okay, so
country.
Muji, hang on a second, my
Yes,
friend. How do we
yes.
solve this? So what you're saying is that if everybody had whatever it is, let's say they all had a house, they had a car, they had all the food they wanted, and a swimming pool, would that solve the problem of the world?
Look, I say that if, for example, when you go to the store and everything is free, you just take whatever you need and come home, okay? You don't need to steal it, because you cannot steal it because it is totally
What
free.
happens? Okay, I understand. Yes, so there
And
won't be
for
theft
example,
because you can have whatever you want.
yeah,
Okay, so who's
and then
firstly, Muji, who's going to
yes.
produce this, and what happens if I actually want to have a drug? I've got everything else, but I'm bored of having everything else, and somebody wants to have drugs. Can we produce drugs for those people?
No, because you today you do it for sale, okay, and then the law says that it is forbidden. So you are not going to try to to produce drugs today. They do it for money. In that world,
Okay, if
nobody.
we didn't need money, Muji, if we did not need money, are
Okay,
you saying that no human being would ever want drugs again? If every human being did not need any money and everything was free, are you suggesting that no human being would ever want drugs again?
okay. This is the thing that comes, that God says that the source is this. So this is the Satan. The source is this. So when we get rid of this source, then every problem will disappear. So I believe and I know, I understand that even that problem will disappear. Okay. So you might say that no, that will not disappear. So no problem. That is a minor problem will become. Okay. Because majority of people, they will not seek for that. They will
How
not
do you
go
know
out,
that? How do you know that, Muji? Because
because
those rich people, I've already told you, right, in Hollywood and
there is no
elsewhere,
rich. There
they
is no
do
rich.
they do more drugs probably than the poor people because they
Yes,
can
because
afford more of it, and
yeah,
they've got
exactly.
everything by your lights, and they're still doing it. And
Yes,
people in Islamic countries do drugs, and they're
exactly.
following the Quran supposedly, and they do it. So people around the world have got things that supposedly is all the things that you are asking for, and they still do drugs. So I'm not
Okay,
convinced that giving people quote unquote whatever they want or making everything equal or free is going to rid the world of drugs.
okay, Rob. When the drug is there, so some people yes go after it, and
Thank you.
first of all, yes, first of all, but in that world, drug is not there. For example, cigarette kills 5 million people on the planet every year. Do you know that?
Yeah, it's probably true. Are you suggesting again that if in fact everything was free, nobody would want a cigarette?
Nobody would produce tobacco and sell it
Why
to
not?
make
If people
billions
want
of
it, if
dollars.
they're addicted or they think that it feels good for them and everything else, as because remember, Muji, this all goes back to the problem here. You can give me any scenario, but I'm still going to say to you that people will still desire these things. Even if we got out of this jungle, to use your lights, and we had
Okay,
this lovely society where everything is free, everybody had equal availability, however this hypothetical utopia would work, people will
okay,
still want this. Why, Muji? Because God created them to want more. That was the overriding desire that you agreed to at the very beginning. So no matter
all
what you
right,
do for humans, they will always want more. So God has implanted in them a system that makes it impossible for them to be entirely satisfied while they're on this planet.
okay. Rob, uh,
Do
this
you
is
agree with my statement or do you disagree, please?
yes, I disagree with you in this way, that you live in this jungle and you cannot see anything beyond it. Okay, I see it. I see in that world will not happen such a things because people don't think about it, and we are just individual now. We are just left for ourselves. We don't follow any principle, and then this cigarette, for example, is available, alcohol is available, drug is available. When it is not available, people are not going to look for it. That's what you don't see because you have been always you have never thought about it. Okay, but I have been thinking about it in many years, and you are living in this jungle, so it's difficult for you to see beyond that. It's maybe kind of another dimension for you. But God says that it is possible and it's going to happen. Okay, one day is going to happen. It is a promise from God in Quran that one day it's going to happen. One day we are created for that world. It is God's demand.
No, we're not created for that world. Okay, Muji, I'll take that as your closing statement. We're not created for that world, because your statement was that we have the desire for more and more and more. So we are absolutely not created for that world. If we were created for that world, our overriding desire would be equality and to be satisfied. And human beings are never satisfied.
All
and
right.
I give you the people who can afford anything. For essentially for them,
Okay.
everything is
Rob,
free, and they
yeah,
still never get enough.
let me
So
tell
that's
you,
not true.
Rob, let me tell you. Yes, we are created that we want more and more, but there is a system that you cannot have more, okay? It is impossible for you to have more. I told you that you go now, for example, you have seen that it happened some riot in USA. People just go to the store and then they take everything they can and run away. Have you seen those riots?
Yes,
Okay.
I've seen that.
Yes, but in that world, you cannot do that because it is there. You can go and just take it, okay? In that world, for example, you have a diamond in your house now, it costs $10 million, okay? And I want it because it's $10 million. I come and steal it. But in that world, that diamond costs $0. So it is just a stone. So I cannot come and
Yeah, then
steal
it's worthless.
this
Then it's
is
worthless.
worthless. Exactly. So I
Yeah.
don't want it. Exactly. So we have to create a world that people they cannot do bad deeds even if they want. I cannot go rob somewhere. The bank doesn't exist to go rob a bank. Okay. I cannot have hundreds of houses when today we can. Today, if I have billions of dollars, I can buy hundreds of houses. But in that world, you just need one place. Okay. You have a one flat or a house. Okay. And you cannot have more than that because the society, okay, it's not about doesn't allow you. You learn that you don't want it because of a higher belief. It is a very deep discussion, for example, why we fast in the month of Ramadan. You know why we are fasting in the month of Ramadan?
Yeah, you're supposed to be cleansing yourself of sin and getting closer to God. And in
No,
fact, I
no,
don't think it's healthy, but that's a different discussion.
no. Let me tell you, that's a wrong
Oh, yes, you've got a
understanding.
different interpretation. I forgot. Go ahead with your particular
Yes,
interpretation.
yeah, that's a totally was a misunderstanding of people. They say some of them say because we want to know how those hungry people feel. Okay, it's absolutely wrong.
I didn't say anything about that.
No, you didn't say. But some Muslims, you ask them, they say like this. But that's a wrong understanding. It is the month of self-control. Okay, we learn to sacrifice our desire for the most essential things in our life, which is water and food. When we can sacrifice that one, we can sacrifice Ferrari, Lamborghini, Palace, all these things for a higher belief than our life, okay? Which is that God's demand, which is that equality. So in that world, okay, we don't want more. We don't want a palace. We don't want a Ferrari, okay?
You're talking about in heaven, aren't you? You must be talking about heaven.
No, I'm not talking about the heaven. I'm talking about that Utopia. I'm talking about Allah has.
Then God would have to re-engineer us. Muji, let's bring this to a close.
Right.
I've given you the floor to give us your kind of closing summary there. I'm not convinced. I didn't even challenge you on this view, really. We didn't even get to me to challenge you on this utopic view. All I took was a position to see whether it was internally consistent and whether there might be an answer here. And in fact, to my lights, I'm going to leave it to audience, to people who watch this, to see whether they came away with anything. I don't see Islam being the answer, even if I accepted that this is a jungle and we want to get out of it and we want to have that utopia. I don't see Islam being the example. And I gave you, in fact, an example of how Islam would be the example. And you rejected that because either God did not want to, or he doesn't have the power to do it at this moment in time, and it'll happen at some moment, sometime in the future. And even if I were a Muslim, I'd reject that scenario. But as a non-believer, to me, that is utterly unconvincing. So I think at this stage, let's bring this to a close. If you want to talk more about Islam per se, I'm happy to do that. But I don't know that there's more that we could say on this particular topic. I'm not convinced that Islam is the answer. And I've even given you what I think Islam could have done to be the answer, and you've rejected that. And what you've given me, I think, is just a bit of confusion, and there's no clear answer from my point of view.
Yes,
So I'll give you 2 minutes. You finish it off, and then we're gonna bring the broadcast to a close.
All right. That's anyway. The Perfect Dava is my YouTube channel. Anybody would like to discuss with me in the future, I would be more than glad. But I tell you that I said from beginning that if you don't accept this solution, then I would love to hear your solution to all our problems. That unfortunately you didn't have that solution. You never told me that there is a solution, and I don't know. It seems that you don't know the way out of this jungle, and you don't want to accept my way out of this jungle. That's all.
All right. On that note, thank you for coming on. Thanks for the discussion. For those who want to talk further, I'll put the link in the description. Somebody's already done that, but I'm going to copy the link and put it in the description in the private chat. We could always pop on to our Discord server. There it is, both on the private chat and also in the main chat there. So if you want to talk more, we can always either continue this discussion or a further one. Thank you to Muji, and I'm sure we'll be back with a further discussion and or video reviews in the future. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye-bye.